whether or not that amounts to.
We are ready. It is 7:30. Well, on my agenda, it's Monday, December 5th, but I know it's not what it was. Oh, it is up there too. It's Monday, the 19th of December. It's 7:30, and I call the city council meeting to order. Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Here.
Beazer.
Here.
Stengline.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Stunek.
Here.
Bevins.
Here.
And Bedot.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4 is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by O'Day, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Stengline. Any discussion on the agenda?
Nope, sorry.
Okay. Hearing no discussion on the agenda, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pardon me?
We're good.
You're voting against the agenda?
No. Gabe's bugging me about my agenda thing.
The item you want to add to the agenda under the consent calendar.
Yeah.
Right on. So we've got a couple of issues on item 5, the consent calendar. Chief Stunek?
I would just like to approve the agenda with the addition of the motion of the Minnesota lawful gambling application for an exempt permit submitted by the Brainerd American Legion, Post 255-708 Front Street, for an event to be held on January 6, 2023 at the Brainerd High School, 702 South 5th Street, to the consent calendar.
Got it. So you'd like to add that to the consent calendar, Mayor Bedot?
Yeah, I just have one item. In the minutes from last meeting, there was a motion from Mrs. Stengline that was seconded and then not allowed by the council president. I would just like to add that to the meeting minutes if at all possible.
Perfect. So we've got 2 additions to this, requests for additions to the consent calendar. That would be the gaming by the Legion and the correction of the minutes by Mayor Bedot. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the amended, corrected consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion by Stengline. Second by O'Day. Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that motion is adopted. Item 6 is a presentation. We've got a couple of them this evening. 6A is a presentation by MnDOT, current layout for the project management team, and set a public hearing. Who's here from MnDOT? Or what, Jesse, anything you'd like to say? Just,
Yes, sir. I can help introduce this really quick.
yes,
Mayor and council, so included in your packet is a summary of the results from the 3 community engagement events and requests and responses from the city's project management team group as part of the last couple years' worth of discussions regarding the Trunk Highway 210 Washington Street reconstruction project. You all have a copy of the latest layout as well that I handed out to you, and we should be able to pull that up on the screen too if we need to. So from the city's and MnDOT's discussions, we feel like we were at a point to kind of present that, I'll call it final layout to the full council. So MnDOT's project manager is also here to have, to help answer questions regarding the layout as well. So at this time, we're just looking for general consensus from the council, kind of approval of the preliminary layout to schedule a public hearing to be held at the February 21st council meeting, continuing towards municipal consent. The reason for that date being that far out is to allow for some additional MnDOT internal discussions and approval from their other departments, and then provide for sufficient time to send out the notices for the public hearing. With that, I'll open it up to any other questions on this.
any questions of our staff? Gabe
Yeah,
Johnson?
timeline process, Mr. President. Are we giving municipal consent tonight, or is that given after the public hearing?
That'll be after the public hearing.
All right, thank you.
On the 21st then. Okay. You have more to the presentation?
Sure.
All right.
My name is Luke Wessler with MnDOT, project manager. Just kind of clarifying the process, kind of setting the council straight with the municipal consent. So we're at a point here that we're kind of agreeing upon a layout here. You know, obviously it's not municipal consent, but we're kind of doing the final stages where we're going to go and get approval and signature on the layout. And so we can compile all those costs and everything into that and then come back to you in February with those city costs. We get that broken down in that figure a little bit with those colors, where the city's gonna participate and the state's gonna participate. And coming into that February meeting, we'll hopefully have all kind of a rough cost for the city, state. There's a city of Baxter participating and Crow Wing County participating in this project. So a lot of things to really nail down in the next few months with our offices and get those final blessings from our internal MnDOT people too on this. But I'm just grateful that we've worked to this point so far with the city PMT, and we've made some changes and concessions both ways, and we got to this point here, and just hoping that we can get your blessing to move forward to the final municipal consent there.
Thank you. Any questions of MnDOT? Thank you. Sorry about that.
I'll ask a question.
Okay, here's what I just heard you say, and then I had an internal review, is that this is the time that you pretty much are looking for, this is what we're gonna build, correct?
This is kind of what we're going for, yep,
Okay.
yep.
So don't wait till May and say, oh, by the way,
Yeah,
okay,
or even February. You know, there'll be people bring up issues, you know, February and everything, but, you know, we want to be aware of the issues beforehand, before February. That's kind of what we're looking for. If we need to go back to the drawing board a little bit with the city PMT and look at things, we definitely will, but we like to do that sooner than later. As you can see, there's a document in the package. There's a Word document and kind of things that we've changed and considered and we looked at, and that was our last meeting with the city PMT, early December. We kind of went through that and kind of the changes we implemented and we couldn't implement. We've been listening to the people, you know, those were the 3 phases of public engagement we did there. And then here's the latest result of things that were on discussion of what we could and couldn't do, and we went through that in the last meeting. And so if there's questions, concerns with those changes or anything, yeah, we'd like to hear them now than later, so, yeah.
thank you. Chairman O'Day.
Yeah, so we just had our last project management team meeting with this, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't remember if we were still asking for anything. I don't think we were. Were there any changes or small tweaks since then that I'm not seeing?
Nope, everything since that meeting this is that layout in front of you is the same layout that we presented at that meeting. It's just color coded, kind of starting to show the participating cost on it.
Yes.
I will say, in the last couple meetings we had with MnDOT, with the project management team, we made a lot of progress towards, the city really has wanted to open up a lot of left turns, especially eastward traffic, left turns into the neighborhoods. It's going towards a trend of trying to eliminate those left turns for safety reasons, but it also, we needed to have access to businesses. And I think that's where we kind of had a point of contention, but we've opened up quite a few of those. You're gonna see some of them kind of disappear, but where they do disappear, it makes more sense than when we first started with this. Another issue we had was trying to slow traffic entering the city, and MnDOT's working with us on making some bump outs come in from the east or the west, kind of pinch points to make it feel like you're entering an area where you need to slow down. So just those 2 minor changes, I think were pretty big wins for us trying to figure out how to kind of accomplish some goals. But I was happy with it at the end of it. I don't know if anybody else has concerns on it at this point, but I think we're at a passable point, in my opinion.
Who's all on the PMT?
Mr. Johnson and Mr. Erickson,
Perfect.
and the mayor has sat in on a lot of those.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ted, anything, or
Yeah, I would just add, I think the last couple of meetings, kind of reiterate what Mike said, the last couple of meetings with MnDOT were very productive. Talking about trading some of the turn lanes, we talked about the roundabouts, we made some concessions on that. Worked with some of the local business owners. We had had a meeting with the local business owners. We, of course, had MnDOT's open house. took that input, and I think we've had a couple, like I said, productive meetings negotiating, and that's kind of where we're at with what they're presenting tonight. So I've been happy with how the discussions have progressed to this point.
Thank you. Any other comments? Chairman Johnson?
Yeah, I would just say that, we pushed them about as hard as we could, I think, and the local field office was great to work with. They took everything back to MnDOT and their maintenance crews and tried to help us get what we wanted, and they got, most of what we asked for done, not everything, which is to be understood. I would say to Mr. O'Day, we didn't withdraw those requests. We still want them all, but we just acknowledge that we're probably not going to get them. But it's come a long way since we finally started meeting in person again, as opposed to the remote meetings that didn't seem to be moving the ball on anything. So, I think it's ready to move on to the next phase, and I'm happy with where it's at right now, and it's been a good process.
Thank you. So all we're looking for, anything else? Jess, anything else you want to add?
No, sir.
So all we're looking for tonight is to set the public hearing for February 21st. We need to do this now?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, so that's what we're looking for, is a motion to put the municipal consent on the calendar for the 21st after a public hearing. Is there such a motion?
So, second Johnson.
Motion by Stunek, second by Johnson. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is a presentation by Community Action. Who would that be?
I don't know what hat he's got on.
9th Street.
You like that?
I'd
I like to
see
represent
that presentation
my friends and family.
with coupons.
Dave Bideau, 602 North 9th Street. With me is...
Katie Dubuck, 202 Ridge Drive.
There we go. Got to get that address. Katie is a member of the board, probably going to be the president of our board next year. I don't think she knows that, but we're announcing it officially in a public meeting. We are representatives from Brainerd Community Action. We would like to first thank you guys for giving us an opportunity to speak with you. Just real briefly, we won't take up a lot of your time, but we are contracted through the city for events and for community action services. And just in front of you, you've got a quick letter from us talking about a few of our points, and then our 2023 budget as well. If you have any questions on that, just let me know, but that kind of lays out the basics of our operation, as well as the most specific one is the 4th of July, which obviously people would like to know where that money goes and how it works. So Brainerd Community Action often is referred to as the 4th of July people. That is a huge part of what we do. It takes up about 6 months of our year. However, it is not everything that we do. The majority of what we spend our time with is working with groups in the community that have charitable ideas, don't really know how to get started, don't really know what to do, and we help them with that. Right now, we currently, I believe, have 23 groups that we work with, and we bring on new ones every single year. Some groups come to the end of their life cycle and either opt to move into a 501c3 of their own or just disband, depending on what their goal is. A great example of that would be the Splash Pad group that was with us. Obviously, completed their project, moved on, no longer in need of our services. Another group, the Water Tower group as well, created their own 501c3, moved on as well. So we work with groups from every walk of life. Some of them are just in terms of creating events, some of them are fundraising, others are just have very specific goals that they want within the community and are just looking for help with that. In terms of what our contract is with the city, we are contracted with events. Our major one, of course, is the 4th of July. The last handful of years, we've slowly been ramping things back up. We obviously, in 2020, took on the wonderful events during COVID, like everyone else, and basically scaled everything back. We went with fireworks, did not have people on the premise. Then the next year, slowly moved on, bringing people on. The following year, again, moving on with more activities. And now next year, we're hopeful that we will be ramping it up yet again by bringing music back, which is something we heard loud and clear from people. Where's the music? We are not probably not going to have a large-scale concert. However, what we're looking to do is utilize that wonderful park that the city has now created down by the Mississippi, P5 as I refer to it, park. That will hopefully, using that amphitheater, be a fantastic opportunity for us to get music back involved, using local artists, hopefully. And we have a couple in mind, and we're just going to finalize the details on that. In terms of the rest of it, last year, our 4th of July fireworks were something that were, a great festivity, as always. However, this next year, we are looking to increase the budget on that a little bit in an attempt to get them back to a grandiose scale. So as you can see in our budget this next year, we've got a little bit more money budgeted towards those fireworks. Fireworks are very expensive. However, we feel that Brainerd's biggest asset during the 4th of July is those fireworks. And if we're going to ask people to come down, we're going to ask them to find their way down to that area down at the school, we want to put on a good show. And so for next year, you'll see a little bit more boom in the sky, if you will. This is my nodding participant as well. She asked if she had to speak. I said, you just stand next to me and you nod and then say thank you. The other item we just real quickly like to address is within our contract with you, we offered to create a council of neighborhood associations. And we're proud to announce that we have brought on 2 new groups in South Brainerd, the East Bank neighborhood around Buffalo Hills, and in Southeast Brainerd, Sebra is back. And we hope to see them kind of pick up those torches in those 2 neighborhoods. Our goal moving forward is that every year we will have quarterly meetings with these groups. 2 members from each of the individual neighborhood associations will come meet with us. We'll sit down as a group. And the goal really is to make sure that we have sustainability within those associations. So Sebra is a fantastic example. Was around for a long time. However, as people move or as people just age, they tend, these things can tend to fall to the wayside. And what we want to do is create a scenario in which the other groups are in place so that as people are moving on, there is a sustainability. And there's a very specific word I'm looking for, and it's one of my favorite words, and I'm forgetting it right now. So we're going to move on. However, our goal is to make sure that there is a succession. There we go. Succession planning. Found it. It was there somewhere. Succession planning. Great show on HBO. Watch it. But anyways, our goal with that is to create a scenario in which these groups are not just hosting events within their neighborhood, maybe 1 or 2 a year, a night out, a cookout, in the instance of East Bank, hay riots. But our goal is to really allow them to become a connection point for the individual neighborhoods. So not just Northeast Brainerd, but specifically the neighborhoods of Northeast, banding together and letting them have a conduit to the city in that the residents can speak to the members of the association can kind of help come back to the city with any concerns or anything they'd like to see. And we see it as an instance where we can not just create events, but create a scenario in which there are projects that can happen as well. Small things have been brought up, like maybe getting some paint and going into our park systems and helping paint equipment, that sort of thing. Just small things that we can do within those neighborhoods. So do we have any questions at all?
Any questions of Mr. Bordeaux? Nope. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Oh, Katie, you didn't say thank you.
You're supposed to say thank you.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
To stand by Dave or what?
Next up is item 7. Item 7A is the Safety and Public Works Committee Chairman Mike O'Day.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 5 items tonight. First of which was a resolution adopting or approving a Transit 2020 bus purchase. Yes, 2020 bus. So this was a bus that we were supposed to purchase in 2020. It's supposed to be here in 2023. Prices have changed slightly. Staff was able to knock down some of the increased price by eliminating a few options, but nothing major. Cost is now at $117,555, and we share a 20% share split between Brainerd and Crow Wing County. So our 10% comes to a $11,755.50. So we recommended adopting the attached resolution, authorizing the bus purchase, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by O'Day, second by Beazer. Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yep.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next was a resolution for the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, the grant application. This is a recommendation by staff to adopt the attached resolution, agreeing to maintain the facilities as will be described in the cooperative agreement, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Erickson. Any discussion? Chairman O'Day?
This just strengthens our position on getting funds through this grant for this massive project that we just spoke about with MnDOT. It's not making any specific commitment right now to what we're agreeing to maintain, but it will lead towards that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. The third item tonight was another two resolutions for the Transportation Alternatives Grant application. This is sort of similar. One has to do with maintenance. One has to do with acting as the sponsoring agency. Again, these are two resolutions basically to strengthen our position on receiving some grant funds. Again, the Transportation Alternatives Grant is for trying to gain leverage towards the pedestrian bridge over 210, connecting the Cuyuna Trail into our city. And so the first one, I don't have specific language, but it would be a resolution to agree, the city will agree to act as a sponsoring agency for this grant funding, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Beazer. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next motion would be to maintain that the council in the city of Brainerd will be funding to the maintain, hang on, let me try this one more time. The funding and to maintain the facilities that receive grant funding. Again, this is nothing specific, but it will be leading towards that agreement.
We have a motion by O'Day. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Any discussion?
Please.
I know it didn't make any sense at all, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I can jump in on the discussion if I
Please,
could.
Mr.
So,
Erickson.
just as we did with the Surface Transportation Block Grant, this would be a resolution agreeing that we would maintain the transportation infrastructure that we eventually build through this grant. So we get the grant, we build the infrastructure, we're agreeing to maintain it. And this formalizes that.
I understand. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek. And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. And hopefully those grants are almost done coming through, right?
No, keep them coming.
Yeah, keep going.
It's the same ones that have came through like 3 times, and I can't keep them straight in my head. But next was the item that took most of the time during our meeting. It was a discussion with the new streetlight standards and details. We did have Trent from BPU here asking questions, answering questions regarding what they're looking for. How they did not get this, we don't really know. But about 9 months ago, we had a new standard light chosen for residential, another one for commercial. We spoke about the poles. I think most of us on here remember this last March, and even before that. I think from this side of it, we were all pretty certain that we had chosen what we needed to choose, and we were just waiting for this stuff to come up. But Mr. Johnson asked the question 2 meetings ago, what's going on with the new streetlights? And come to find out, if that question wasn't asked, we might not have had the new standard streetlights by next spring. So now we're working forward, answering questions that we did not know that BPU staff had. They wanted to know more details as far as what types of poles we're using, what type of percentage do you want the lighting to be on the streets, and really fine details that they want to hammer out before they make a large purchase for some of these. And Mr. Erickson and I were present for a lot of those SPW committee meetings, and we remember saying we wanted to maintain the same style of pole that we currently have, just black instead of gray. I don't know if anybody remembers anything different, but the decorative style metal poles that we would be replacing instead would be a lot more expensive, and that's why we went with that. They're also asking us what we want to do about banners. Do we want to be able to put banners on all the poles, some of the poles? Also with outlets, power outlets. Where do we want to put power outlets? On all the poles or some of the poles? And I think we came back with, let's revisit this, tell us what it would be to put power outlets on all of them in case we wanted to put up more Christmas lights in the future. I personally lean towards keeping it as is, replace the ones that have outlets with outlets and leave the ones without outlets, because that's an increase in cost anyway. Basically maintaining what we have, replacing as we go through these streets projects, but we would be essentially ordering 5 years worth of lights, at least for our commercial corridors, and we could install those as we have time, as we see necessary. We're not making a decision on this or a motion tonight, but I think we are open to discussion right now. I'm not gonna make a motion, but they are gonna come back with more details, details on cost and different options before we can nail this down, along with the temperature lighting discussion that's going to be going with the planning and zoning, BPU, and I think the park board. So that's where we're at tonight. And hopefully we'll have more information on specifics first meeting of January.
Any questions of Chairman O'Day, Chairman Johnson?
One question, Mr. President, is would the chair say that we are picking up where we left off on March 19th right now, or are we even further steps back going to talk about fixtures and things like that we already decided?
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
One or the, we're taking steps backwards, or we're picking up where we left off?
we are picking up just before we left off. It seems like
So behind.
behind, yeah. It seems like the message was passed, but not formally. There was no communication between possibly our former engineer and staff at BPU. Somewhere along the line, there was a ball that was dropped and got picked up 4 weeks ago, kind of today. So we're trying to catch back up in time to order all of our lighting for 2023.
No, thank you for picking it up, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for asking the question.
Any other comments? It seems to me one decision has been made and should be voted on, and that's to use the same style of poles that we have. I don't recall that. Mr. Johnson, do you recall it?
Yeah, yes,
Okay, so that decision in your mind has been, so then,
I thought so.
okay. Then that's that, you're gonna come back. We're not talking about re-looking at the fixtures. Is there any objection to sticking with the percentages of banner-bearing poles and electrical poles as Mr. O'Day suggested? Mr. Johnson?
Mr. President, I don't think that's even relevant. That's just muddying things up. Most of our poles with banners in town had brackets affixed to them after the fact. So we can buy brackets when we decide to hang banners.
Well, that's what I was wondering, but it seemed like the comment from Chairman O'Day might be different than that. Mr. O'Day?
We did speak a little bit more about the banners in detail, so it does matter if you want to put the possibility of having two banners, like one on each side, and which size they are, is apparently, it plays into how strong the pole is, how wide the pole is. We kind of just said, let's keep them the same, but let's try to get slightly larger banners than we had for the 150th anniversary
Oh, I
of the
missed
city,
those.
so that we can read them.
I've got
And we use
three of
we use the CLC banners as a size comparison of what we would like to see. So it might change it slightly, but I kind of doubt it.
Any questions or comments on the banners or the electrical outlets? Okay. Thank you. I don't see anything needed for action tonight. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Final item on the agenda here tonight was the approval of a streetlight request.
Okay.
There was a individual, I don't know if I have the address, but this is in Northtown, and there was a light request application filled out for the city in a newer neighborhood, but this neighborhood was laid out and the street lighting was already set before we had any of this new policy. I believe the closest light to this intersection, which has no light, was how far, if you don't mind me asking?
Up to the intersection of Wild and Northtown. So about a block and a half to the north, maybe roughly 400 feet.
But during our discussions with street lighting, updating street lights, the intersections were kind of something we want to keep lit. And this individual lives on that corner. Complaint is that it's too dark because there's no light. This would be a cost to the city of $3,000, but I think it's more in tune with what we want to see in most of our neighborhoods. So a motion coming out of committee was to install a street light in the intersection of Viking Street and Wild Avenue at the city's expense. I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by O'Day, a second by Erickson. Any discussion on the street light at the corner of Viking Street and Wild Avenue at approximately $3,000? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
End of report.
Thank you. Item B is Personal and Finance Committee Chairman Gabe Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 6 quick items on our agenda tonight. The first one is to ratify the hiring of Community Service Officer Dominic Bailiff, and I move that we ratify the hiring of Dominic Bailiff effective December 16th at the CSO pay rate of $16 per hour, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, a second by Stingline. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next up is the approval of the 2023 IBEW Admin Support Contract Terms and Wages. This has 2 actions. The first motion is a motion to approve the attached offer for settlement between the city and IBEW Local Number 31 Union representing the administrative support employees for a 2023 contract, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
It was a 1-year deal at 2.5% like we had discussed, and we did settle the Allison Timmons saga once and for all, that it appears that we will be placing her at step 4 as of January 1st after the contract is ratified.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, this is a approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
All right, the next one, Mr. President, is to adopt the attached resolution setting the IBEW Administrative Support Union wages for 2023, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Stingline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yep.
And Bevins.
Yes, nicely done, staff. Thank you. And PNF, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next up is another contract, and that's with UOE Parks. And the first motion is to approve the attached 2023-2025 tentative agreement summary and the attached contract supporting documents between the city and IUOE Local 49 Union representing parks maintenance employees, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stingline. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson?
As you see in the packet, they agreed to a 3-year settlement in 2023, 2024. Their COLAs will be 2.5%, and in 2025, we're on the hook for a 3.75% cost of living adjustment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you. And then now we have to adopt the resolution setting the IUOE Local 49 Parks Maintenance wages for 23 through 25, and I move approval.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stingline. Any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer.
Yes.
Springline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Again, good job, team. Please proceed.
All right, the next is a request to hire a senior engineering tech project manager, and the motion is to authorize staff to hire a senior engineering tech / project manager instead of the engineering tech position, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, a second by Stunek. Chairman Johnson.
We have not been having luck. We've posted the engineering tech position twice. We have not been getting many, if any, candidates. I think we've only had one qualified candidate in 2 listings. The senior engineering tech project manager may actually be a better fit for what the role of the job is, and it does increase the wages by about $2 an hour across the whole grid. So it'll be an additional cost of $4,000 an hour, but staff's pretty confident that it may help us get better candidates and get that position filled.
Per year.
$4,000 per year
An hour, I'm signing
in
up.
perpetuity.
Myself and Chief Bestel and Tony. There's enough in there for all of us. All right, thank you. We have a second on that?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
All right, next up is Library Board's request for Maple Lot parking spots. And the motion is to deny the Library Board's request for additional parking spots, but however, maintain the 4 that were approved in 2015 on the condition that if the spots are needed for rental, the library gives up the spots upon notification by city staff, and I so move.
Motion by Johnson.
Second.
Second by Stingline. Any discussion on the parking spots?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman O'Day.
How many employees are working at the library on a daily basis?
They've, maybe Connie can, they have a lot of volunteers and employees, maybe Connie can answer it, Mr.
According
President.
to their letter, they had said that at peak time, there's about 9. That's why they were asking for 9 spots.
And these volunteers can park in the library lot, correct?
They can, but they are looking to use their library lot for patrons.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the denial of the request, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
All right, our final item here is a street vehicle replacement, and the motion is to authorize staff to enter into a retail lease with Enterprise for a 2023 F-250, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, a second by Stunek. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
So we have a 19-year-old truck we've been trying to replace for a couple of years now through Enterprise, through the government contract side of Enterprise, and we just haven't been able to get to the top of the list and get it filled. So we're authorizing staff to apply for both the government side and just the consumer side and see which truck shows up first, and hopefully we'll get one. If it does come on the consumer side, it will cost us about $4,500 over 5 years. But like I said, this truck is 19 years old. And I'll say further, I've always enjoyed seeing our street foreman driving around in an old beater, and it makes me feel like we're saving the taxpayers' dollars. But it is time to get that truck off the road, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next up is item 8, unfinished business. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Item 8A, call for applicants.
So before we call for applicants, I have applicants that we are ready to nominate. So we'll go through that process first. Parks, Jonathan Miller. TAC, Got 3 of them. Douglas Stenberg, Jan Lambert, Lisa Nebel. PUC, Mike England. Those are the nominations from your humble mayor.
Move to approve, Johnson.
We have a motion by Johnson, a second by Stunek. Any discussion on the mayor's nominees? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same side. Please continue.
All right, so now we'll try and get this correct with the eliminating of those positions. We'll see if I can pull it off. Charter Commission, 4 terms available. Library Board, 1 term available. Rental, dwelling, license, board. Oh, let's start that over. We're pulling a Mike O'Day here.
Try again. Get through it.
Rental Dwelling License Board of Appeals, 5 terms.
That's the board.
I believe there are only 5 people. Again, if you are interested in rental dwelling license, any type of appeals, we'd love to hear from you if you're out there. Transportation, oh, excuse me, we already filled those ones. I already screwed it up. Economic Development Authority, we have 1 term expiring 2028, 1 term expiring 2026, sorry.
That's it?
That's quite a few.
Don't bait them.
Yeah, we knocked off quite a few.
All right, and as council president, I have 2 commissions with positions open. The Airport Commission has 1 term open that expires in 2025, and the Planning Commission has 2 terms open that expire also in 2025. Next up is item 9, new business. Item 9A is the first reading of proposed ordinance 1540, instituting a moratorium on the conversion of dwellings to green space or surface parking. And this is, Mr. Kramvik, wish to help us through this one, give us any guidance or wisdom.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So at the last City Council meeting, ordinance number 1539 failed for a lack of second motion. It was requested to be sent back to the Planning Commission for further review. I think specifically line A3, which did provide potential exemptions through City Council approval of alternate uses. So with this, proposed ordinance number 1540 is a interim ordinance. It's essentially a 3-month extension of the original 6-month moratorium that was passed last July as ordinance number 1534. So that original 6-month moratorium will expire January 17th. If approved, the 3-month moratorium extension would go into effect on January 15th. So essentially there would be no gap within the moratorium. So with this, the recommended action motion would be a motion to hold the first reading of proposed ordinance number 1540 and dispense with the actual reading of the ordinance. And then note, a vote to dispense with the actual reading of the ordinance must be unanimous.
Any questions of staff on the proposal? Hearing none, we're looking for a motion to hold the first reading of proposed ordinance 1540.
So move, Erickson.
Motion by Erickson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Stingline. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Okay. Anything else we need to do with that one, Mr. Krambeck?
Nope, at the next City Council meeting, there'll be a public hearing as well as a second reading.
Got it. Okay. Next up is item 9B, a discussion regarding the sale of alcohol in city parks. City Engineer, Public Works Director Dean, this is submitted by you. Tell us what we're doing here.
Yes, sir, Mayor, Council. On December 6th, the Park Board discussed policies regarding the upcoming opening of the new amphitheater facility, and during that discussion, there was a discussion regarding alcoholic beverages in the city parks and the potential for allowing sale and consumption within all of the city parks. So a similar question arose last summer regarding this kind of same issue with sale and consumption of alcohol in city parks. There's a few references of the city code included in the packet here that talks about the different types of alcoholic beverages and the sale or consumption within the park system. So as of right now, we're just looking for direction from the council if there is direction on whether or not to change the code, allow no alcohol or beer in parks, allow all, or to continue this process and clarifying the code based on the comments from council.
Any questions of staff?
Comments.
Or comments on the proposal? Can I just ask a clarifying thing? Expectations are then this would go back to the park board? Is that what you're suggesting? I don't think they can make changes to the city code is what
That is correct. If the council wishes to continue to explore the possibility of allowing alcohol in the parks, if it's all alcohol or in some sort of restrictions, what we would do is we prepare a code ordinance revision and bring that back to council for review.
Okay, and has the park board approved this yet?
They were just looking for the potential to explore this with the council.
Got it. Okay, so we're just kind of looking for thoughts on the process. Chairman Johnson and then Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I definitely support looking at section 1200 and section 1205 and working with the park board on potentially having alcohol at some events. Currently, as the code is written, it's against the city code for softball players to drink beer, you know, and I think maybe we might want to allow that. Maybe we don't. I don't know. It's against the code for people camping in our campground to have a beer at the campfire. Maybe we want that, maybe we don't, but I think it's something we need to talk about. It's a discussion we need to have. Per how the current code is written, Shep's Elbow Convention, Brainerd JC Street Fest on 7th, not allowed by city code. So whether we move forward with the parks and say it's an all-out rager in every park, have at it, or if we tweak the codes, something needs to be done before we get into this summer season, festival season, to make sure what we want is actually written in the code, not just in our head, in our each and individual heads of what we think it is. So that's where I'm at. We need to rewrite it, and I think we should work with the park board as we do.
Sort of intrigued by that all-out rager. Mr. Mayor.
I too am intrigued by that. Just to clarify, from the park board's perspective, unanimously have spoken in favor of this, with the idea that it would be attached to some kind of event application. We already have that in terms of applications that we use that are brought to the park board and to the council. Very clean process that we could just amend, but unanimously have voiced that they are in favor of taking a look at this and moving it forward.
Thank you. Any other comments? Chairman O'Day.
I think are we trying to hammer out details, or are we trying to just say whether or not we're okay with some form of the park board regulating it?
That's why I clarified that. My understanding is conceptual approval.
Okay. Just clarifying your clarification.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of details, as Mr. Johnson already kind of suggested, but as Mr. Mayor said, we have some groundwork already done with our application process, so. I think this is a concept.
Yeah, but the language in that is
Gonna come.
clearly confusing everybody.
Yeah, right
I'm not
now.
confused at all, Mike.
There's
I
liquor.
understand what a professional baseball team is, others may not.
Yeah. There's liquor, there's 3.2%, which is, how many states have that? We're like one or two. We're the one state that hasn't left. I mean, it's almost old language at this point. So
Almost.
just using alcoholic beverage instead of the rest would make more sense.
No doubt this ordinance could use some fine tuning, if not revamping, regardless of where we go with our parks. But I think thank the park board for asking the opinion at this point in time, so we can all move forward together as opposed to conflicting. I think it's what the park board should do to ask the concept. If there's somebody who thinks they're not in favor of moving forward with this, now would be a good time to hear about it. So, with that, I believe, unless anybody else has any more comments, it seems like the board is in favor of putting this back to the park board and seeing what you can come up with an ordinance to bring back to the council.
Okay.
Okay. Next up is the approval of the 2023 park budget. And again, this is our city engineer, public works director, Dean, as well as Connie Hillman. Would either of you like to comment on what's in our packet?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. So at the November 28th budget workshop, there was a general consensus from the council that disapproved of the proposed Park Board 2023 capital request. However, there wasn't any formal action taken at that workshop or at the December 5th council meeting. So based on that discussion from that workshop, the Park Board did revisit the 2023 capital request at their special meeting on December 6th and approved an alternative for council consideration. So you'll notice in the packet, there's the original Park Board budget request, including the $400,000 for the softball lights at Memorial Park, where it was kind of labeled as option A. The alternative option the Park Board approved to present to the council is included as option B, which does not have the $400,000 for replacement of the lights in their entirety. However, it does replace the request with $50,000 to replace bulbs, ballasts, and capacitors in the existing lighting system. There was discussion of a handful of different options of the budget, and potentially whether or not to include the $50,000, as it is really just kind of an unknown if the replacement of the ballasts and capacitors is even going to work. We're kind of throwing darts at this one right now, hoping to keep them working for the upcoming season. So as of right now, the Park Board's just requesting that the council review and approve either option as the 2023 Park Board budget.
Thank you. Connie Hillman, anything you want to add? Any questions of staff? Chairman Johnson?
I'd make a motion to approve the option B 2023 Park Board budget as presented.
We have a motion by Johnson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by O'Day. Chairman Johnson?
So I attended the meeting and they had a really good discussion, and we don't know this, we're called it the Band-Aid fix, but this $30,000 to $50,000 may be a Band-Aid that works for a week, and it may work for 15 years. We don't know. So we're gonna take this shot and have the Park Board get the $400,000 in the budget, in a later capital budget, after we hopefully get our electric department to go down there and look at the electricity situation and give us an honest assessment in less than 9 months. I mean, as soon as possible was not a good direction. Less than 9 months would be what I would hope for this time. And then just further on a process thing, that there's some confusion about budget authority and when the Parks Board presents, and if it just is automatically approved when they present, if we don't deny it. Next year, I think we need to tighten up the process where it says the Parks Board presents and it is a contingent on council approval. So I think after the Park Board presents in August or September, the city council either needs to approve or not approve that budget. So there isn't a lot of scrambling going on in December. We can work with the Park Board to fine tune things the council might not have a good taste in their mouth about over a number of months instead of over a couple of weeks. That's all I have to say about the budget.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Johnson for attending that meeting. His input was very valuable and very appreciated from the Park Board. The other thing I just want to note is that I do want to see the council and the Park Board earlier in the year get together, have some kind of sit down where we are talking about the direction that we'd like to see things going. The Park Board has done a really good job of getting their budgets started a lot sooner, but I would like to have some kind of meeting where we're sitting the two groups down together, getting a small direction of where we want to see things headed. That way, as we go into March, April, before the busy season of parks, we have a good idea of where we are. So we're not scrambling in September, as Mr. Johnson said.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Just and I certainly am in favor of the motion. Also want to thank the Park Board. There was a lot of passion about these lights, and they went and had a meeting quickly to put together an alternative to what they presented 2 weeks ago, as well as Jesse Dean, the Public Works Director who oversees the parks. And I called Gabe Johnson about 3 o'clock the afternoon of the Park Board meeting because I couldn't make it. And I want to thank him, as the mayor did, for rearranging his schedule so we could all work together to hopefully come up with a solution. I have a question, and I'll ask Mr. Johnson, even though you're not representing the Park Board. Let's say the end result is and again, I'm gonna vote for this, but let's say the end result is it isn't worth it to put the 50 grand. The Band-Aid approach isn't gonna work. We wanna keep this 50 grand and put it towards 400,000. I mean, is that a, I want it answered now, just in case, because it could come up. We've heard our lights are in tough shape.
In my mind, I would definitely like to have that conversation, but I would definitely like to have that conversation after we have written assessments from electricians, not softball players, on the electricity. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Thank you. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make that part of the record. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the park board budget as presented with B, the $50,000 for lights, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is item D, a resolution setting the 2023 levy and adoption of a 2023 budgets. First up is Connie Hillman on the levy. Anything you'd like to add?
Thank you. So by December 31st, the city of Brainerd needs to set the levy for 2023 for the city and the HRA. A resolution was attached to the packet, which set it at a 3% increase, as discussed at the workshop and was used for the public hearing. To achieve a 3% increase in the levy, we had to transfer just under $180,000 from the capital fund to the general fund was planned. Since the public hearing, staff has updated the budget for election forms that have been received and for tentative agreements of union negotiations. With the additional adjustments, the amount needed to be transferred from the capital fund to the general fund has been reduced to $143,251. That is to maintain a 3% levy. And like I said, that is what the resolution was prepared for. So we could bump that back up to just around under the 180,000, and the levy could be reduced even further. And there was a table in the memo that also listed those other options of 2.41%. If you want to take a break right there, and we'll adopt the resolution for the levy, and then we adopt the
Yep.
budget.
Yep,
Okay.
let's do that. Any comments or questions on staff on what we just were presented? Hearing none, we're going to turn it over to PNF Chair Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adopt the resolution setting the City of Brainerd levy at $6,443,500 plus $155,981 for the HRA, and I so move.
Motion by Johnson,
A second.
second by O'Day. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
This option is keeping the levy increase at 3% instead of choosing the 2.41% opportunity we had.
But also keeps the capital
Yep.
reduced.
Yep.
So the transfer from capital. All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Just so you know, everybody works hard here, but I have had a chance to sit in with Connie and Gabe, and our administrator, countless other meetings to get us to this point. And you just don't and can't appreciate as much, and I want to share it with you, how much these people put into what we're going to vote on right now. It's amazing. And it's constantly changing. With every meeting, there's a phone call and 27 emails as to what about this and what about that. And Connie does a great job, and Gabe does a great job, and our city administrator does a great job. There's a lot of money, and none of it's ours. And I think they get kudos from me, because I got a chance to see some of what they do. And I'm running in with 10 minutes in between work and going, wow, these people are really smart. Anyway, all in favor, is this a resolution?
This is
No.
a resolution.
This is a resolution. City Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beazer. Yes. Stengline.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, our resolution is adopted. Finance Director Hillman, the budget.
Yeah, so the, listed, included in the packet were the general fund or the working fund's budget, as well as the other budgets that the council has historically officially adopted a budget for. The changes from the last time, so the working fund could be adopted as presented because it does include the 3% levy. We do have three options for the capital fund levy. There's option A with the Memorial Park lighting at 0, option B with it at 50,000, and option C at 400,000. The transit budget has been updated since the first meeting in December for the updated cost and revenue for the bus. And then the storm sewer budget includes a $50,000 to explore the option to maintain an MS4 permit requirements. Those are the things that were directed to be added. So the recommended motion would be to adopt the budgets as presented with selecting an option for the capital fund, either A, B, or C.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Hearing none, Mr. Johnson, care to make a motion?
Yeah, I move to adopt the budget with option B, including $50,000 to the Memorial Park lights, and I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, this is just a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is a public forum, time allocated for the citizens to bring matters not on the agenda to the attention of the council. We'd like to see if you can keep it to 3 minutes. Anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on something we have not had on the agenda this evening, or if you are online, and it doesn't look like we have anybody with us online this evening. If we did, you would star 3, I think, is how we'd notify us. So the public forum is open at 8:30. And if you are here to speak to the council, please come forward, state your name and address. Second call. And a final request. It's 8:31. We will close the public forum, move on to staff reports. We'll start off to the right over here with Chief Bestel. Not even any car wrecks or anything? All right, I didn't think so. Brent, anything that you'd like to add?
Nope, nothing here.
All right. We're gonna stop and we're gonna go online. And I think Eric Charpentier, I saw you. Anything to add?
Yes, actually, just one item tonight, Mr. President. Just a quick update for the council. We've, throughout the years at the HRA, done a number of these small cities development program grants that are put on by deed. We are exploring a 2023 preliminary proposal that was opened up in November by deed. That preliminary proposal is due on January 17th. We are identifying an area in southeast Brainerd that we are going to be looking at utilizing the grant if we are awarded it. We are looking at a competitive bid for considering both owner-occupied and single-family rental rehab units. So really just wanted to make the council aware that we're working on producing or submitting that preliminary proposal. Basically with deed, you have to submit the preliminary proposal. They will then tell you if you can move on to the next round of applications. But we are trying to get some more rehab dollars for the city of Brainerd.
Thank you. Joe Langle, anything from the legal department?
Nothing for me, thank you, Mr. President.
You ready to write all kinds of code about alcohol in the parks?
Absolutely.
I thought you might. All right, you know, before we go back, Chief, I think one thing deserves mention, Chief Bestel, is when it snows, it's one of the most stressful times for drivers. And we do run into each other occasionally, and I happen to have had some personal experience in the past that we won't discuss, but our police department really does a good job keeping things calm. You know, I know you can't prevent accidents, but they do happen. And I think our staff and our police officers just do a wonderful job keeping traffic moving, keeping people calm. Yeah, so. What was that, Chief? You have?
Election again or what?
No, not at all. It's just, we've had some snow and Chief, when you're
Hard out
sitting,
at 9 o'clock.
when you're sitting at home, you don't see it, but when you're out in the real world, people get crazy.
Yeah, I don't get out much, I know.
All right. Connie Hillman.
Yes, I have two items tonight. First of all, Standard & Poor's did an interim rating of the city of Brainerd, And we are pleased to announce that they confirmed the city's AA- with a stable outlook. And they were very pleased with the city's plan about how we were planning to pay for the lawsuit. So kudos to council for developing a good
They
plan.
took Gabe's check?
The other item I'd like to say is I'd just like to give kudos to the admin staff for answering the phones, in particular the Tony Gage and Pam Zemer. They are the two that took all the phone calls on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on when is my street going to be plowed and down trees, and they communicated with the street department to get those streets removed and the streets cleared, and so I just want to give kudos to them. It was a very stressful couple days in the office for admin staff as well, so thank you.
I bet. Jesse Dean, City Engineer, Public Works Director?
Yes, sir. I guess everybody's talking about snow, right? Yeah, it was quite the event last week, and we're still cleaning up from it even yet now today. And I was pretty proud of BPU, the efforts they had keeping all the lights on compared to a lot of the communities around us. That was impressive. But also our street crews, they worked a lot, especially on Thursday when it was really coming down heavy on keeping a lot of our main routes open for people to get from one place to the other. I know personally I had a relative out of town that didn't have any power, and it was really nice to be able to access to her and help her out. So it goes to the staff of being able to keep the areas open that needed to be open for people, and I was really happy that they put in a lot of effort in the last handful of days to get that snow cleared in a hurry as best as they could. So I was really happy with our staff's work during that event.
Thank you to all the staff. James Krambeck,
Nothing to add.
cut it out. Okay. Nothing? You sure? How many more days? All right. Shh.
380?
80, 800. All right. Next up, City Administrator Bergman.
And I just have one item to add, and actually it is on behalf of Sean Strong, who is not able to be here this evening. We are on charter. And that is it.
What channel?
Get a haircut.
It is channel 181 on charter.
Nice. Mr. Mayor.
First of all, I'd like to thank Kevin Stunek for noting the obvious that Kelly Bevins is clearly running for something, because just a lot of butter getting poured all over everyone tonight. Everyone's the best. You guys are great. I agree with him. Everything's fantastic. But look at this guy's suit. He's got something up his sleeve, and it ain't magic. All right, so I just have one item. Tomorrow, 4:30, you're going to see some people, little flash mob, going around, little holiday cheer. Happened last year. There's a couple members, Sheila DeChantel, a couple others. I'm forgetting. I'm drawing blanks. Holly, a couple others that did a phenomenal job last year, spreading a little holiday cheer with a little Christmas flash mob. I'm just going to give you a little heads up because I want you to be able to enjoy it. Tomorrow, 4:30, happening again. Blaring some Christmas music, dancing around like fools. Getting a little cold because it's going to be cold. There may be a guy in a Santa suit. There might be. We might not know. But hope to see you there. End of report.
Thank you. Mr. O'Day?
Yeah, we did have, a week and a half ago, we had the holiday hay rides. It was a success. We had a last minute request from the horse owner, hay ride company, to get some sand on the streets because they were a little icy and he didn't catch that. So thank you to staff, because by the time I got there, it looked like a class 5 gravel road, so it was perfect. So we had that event. Santa showed up, looked a lot like him. Kids loved it.
Kids cried.
Some cried. Most of them. More than half. But they loved the hay rides part, just not the Santa part. We ran out of hot chocolate. I think we doubled or more our ridership in that event. So looking to grow that a little bit each year and keep going with that. Next, I want to say thank you to these two committee members. I think this is our last meeting together, and it's been a pleasure. A little bit longer time I've had with Mr. Erickson, who beat me in an appointeeship contest. That's proper terminology, I'm pretty sure, but we remember. But it's been great working with you guys, and maybe we'll see you again in some form or another. But thank you for everything.
Thank you.
complaining about the snow plowing problem.
Yeah.
Mr. Beazer, you're up.
I have nothing to add.
Mr. Erickson?
Well, along those lines, yeah, I just wanted to say, my short time on council here, I just wanted to say it's been an honor and a privilege to serve alongside each and every one of you. So thank you. And then to reiterate what Council President Bevins has said to staff, a special thank you to each and every one of you as well. So thank you very much.
Thank both of you for sitting in with us for the time that you have. Been very enjoyable, and we have appreciated your skills. Mr. Johnson?
William, Tad, it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. But also, I'm excited about the new members we have coming on, too. And that's all I have to add.
Thank you. Chief Stunek, you still with us? Yeah.
Happy holidays to all.
Thank you. Tiffany Stingline?
Nothing from me.
All right. Thank you. Next up is item 14. We have two closed sessions we're going to adjourn to. And actually what we're going to do is we're going to adjourn to the first one, and then we're going to come back into open session if there's any action that needs to be done, and then we're going to adjourn to the second one. So, and then we'll come back into open session and see if there's anything else that needs to be done. So the first one is closed session is pursuant to Minnesota statute 13.